When I finish a journal, a planner, I want it to look like this. Really used. So from the beginning, I want it to be pristine, like when you unbox your Leuchtturm. I love it. I love all the possibilities in those white pages with those faint little dots, but then I want to really put my mark on it. So that's what I did with this planner. And I started with the very first spread, the pages on the inside of the cover, where normally you put your name, your phone number, stuff like that, but I don't really see the point because I don't leave the house. So instead I put these things that represent what I wanted for August when I started this journal or planner. It's kind of a planner slash art journal, as you can see. So I wanted this expression. This is a lady that's been with me through a few books. I drew her ages ago. I drew her from a theatre program, Midsummer Night's Dream. So it's Titania from a production in Stratford-on-Avon. And I love this image so much that I've cut her out from all the places where she's been. And now finally I think she's got her forever home here in this book. But I wanted to be calm and happy and content, and that's what this image represented. And I also wanted to allow my life and this book to be eclectic and to not follow any rules. So that's what this is all about. Patchwork Princess. It's a bit, you know, silly, but I wanted that feeling of, you know, every day will bring something new and you never know what's going to happen. What follows is, well, they're my monthlies. So August, September, and then I changed books, but I had planned to use this book in October and in November and in December. And I didn't. I have migrated into a new journal since then. But I like to have all my monthlies gathered like this. Or I did, because now I'm trying something new, but that's a story for another day. Oh, I also put January and February actually. So, great expectations. This spread was my plan for work. Again, this image is meant to represent calm, and these were my schedule, because I can more or less decide exactly how I want my working day to be, but I wanted to sort of follow some kind of plan. So that's what this spread is for. This is one of the few spreads that I've kept unpainted. It's an exercise program for my back, and I've used a tab that I've left here because it's my health tab. I recognize this washi as my health symbol, and I want to be able to find it again, because obviously I don't use an index like you do in a bullet journal. So instead I have these tabs. This was also something I drew and painted because I wanted to set the tone for August and for the whole book. You probably can't see what I've written here because it's gold on red. Myself I shall adore. It's a quote from a Handel opera. Which one is it? Ariadne on Naxos? Can that be the name? I don't remember. But I painted her to, you know, this is Ariadne, and she falls in love with her own reflection when she looks into a mirror, and I wanted to do that. And I think I did. it works. Art journaling works. This spread is about, it's sort of a project page. Reminders of what I want to achieve in a certain area of my life. This was actually, let's stay here a while, because I planned family gathering and it didn't, well, we didn't do it because it's 2020, so you know the drill. And then I was, well, I got interested in the moon and the moon's phases, and I've been tracking my moods and stuff ever since, and this is where I started. I'm really pleased with this spread, and here we have a tab that signifies my writing, because I used to write novels, I sometimes write fan fiction, and I have this plan, ambitious long-term plan of writing a fantasy story, and this is a character from that story and her fox. So I was, you know, I wanted to paint her to, you know, get some inspiration. I don't know. I don't remember why I did it, because it's fun. And so I kept the tab because I want to be able to find it again, and I know that the purple tab with stars represents my writing. This was my first actual sort of journaling spread, so it's the 1st of August, and I journaled inside there. And these, I wanted the colors to be the colors I saw in nature at the time. And I was in the countryside, so there was a lot of blue water and green forest and a lot of golden sunlight. And I started my yoga journey. So I painted this to represent where I wanted to go and wrote down what I wanted to achieve, like strength and calm and balance. Another health tab to do with my wrists, which were hurting at the time, so I wrote down exercises to do to strengthen them. And I really fell in love with, throughout this book, I've painted many spreads with quite dark colors and then gold on top of it. So browns and blues and greens and gold, they're sort of the theme of this book, as you can see. These were autumn projects that we didn't really do at all. Well, some of them actually, yeah, some of them I did. But you know, that's fine. A project that I described for the cellar. We have a cellar where we have loads of projects, you know, renovation projects. Oh, here's one of those gold blue-green spreads. I just love, I don't know if this catches the light, but I just found this way of making it look aged and sort of grungy, but sort of rich as well, or precious, I don't know. I love green and gold together. And this is a summary of the summer. So just to remember what we did, what it was like. Here's a weekly where I, you know, it from the beginning, it looked like, this is my current journal. Hello, like this. that's how my weekly spread, what it looks like. But I don't want to keep that because it's ugly, and I never read the, you know, if I've written that I had a meeting or a task that I accomplished. I have no interest in that. I am interested in knowing that we sat outside by the fire and watched bats. And that's, you know, so I sort of painted, for each weekly, I painted a summarizing picture of the week, what, you know, sort of the high point, and I put a summary of on every day, you know, tired, had a haircut, pain everywhere, and so on. Hildur Gudnadottir on the radio. That was a nice evening with bats and a fire in the twilight. And that's what I want to remember, not that I, you know, cleaned the fridge. Here's another fantasy novel, or series rather, tab or spread. And this is, maybe I shouldn't show you this, someone will steal my ideas. It's an idea for a character who lives in the woods and sort of keeps the woods. And I went to town with this green glitter. I don't know if you can see, but I love glitter. I love gold. Another unpainted spread, because these were ideas I had for a new bullet journal or planner or junk journal, whatever, something. So I wanted to keep it sort of pristine with my journal planner tab, so for easy retrieval. Oh, and these black glittery tabs are for the moon. So throughout this book I have notes about the moon phases and what I felt like, and then this tab so I can easily find it. Another weekly, that was, you know, what I want to remember from this week was that we watched a concert online with Scarlett. I love Scarlett. You have to check her out. Work projects. A few, you know, I have, these are project pages for work. So each spread is one project I have at work with a picture that sort of represents the theme, shall we say. So I had my tasks behind these images. I put a double-sided tape so I could lift the image and write behind it. And then when I was done with the book or with the project, I glued it down so I didn't have to see my ugly writing. And then I wrote a sort of a summary of how it went and what I learned and what was good, what was bad. This used to be on another book that I abandoned because, well, reasons. And there, I can see now that some flowers have fallen off. So you can see the gesso. Actually, I have no idea why I put gesso underneath them. It was in my salad days of journaling. So I didn't know how to use all this stuff. I had a lot of work projects. But now we're done with them. Here's more journaling. And this page, I just put pink acrylic color and blue acrylic color and no, I waited with the gold. I put blue and pink and then just drew with a ruler like this to merge them, blend them, and then I painted on top with that gold. More fantasy paintings. So this is another character and one of her firebirds. She's a fire artist. And I actually used an image of a photo of Kate Blanchett as, you know, inspiration. So if you recognize this pose, that's why. She did a photo shoot for Vogue, I think. So I had that at the side just to inspire me. More moon phases. And I actually learned quite a lot from tracking the moon and my moods, but not in the way I thought. I thought, you know, when there's a new moon I will be inspired, when there's a full moon I will be full of energy. No. No, maybe others, but I get tired on the new moon and the full moon. I'm at my best actually when it's waxing gibbous and waning gibbous. I don't know, but that's what I've found after a few months of tracking this. This looks overloaded, but it's meant to represent, you know, the background is meant to represent our garden with our garden lights in the darkness, because it was August and it was starting to grow darker and you could see all these lights in the garden. It was beautiful. And then I wrote about, you know, the the dilemma of loving these things that are not very good for the environment, like things that draw a lot of electricity, you know, and when you buy these lanterns and lights, fairy lights, and I mean even this page, the colors, the glue, the glitter, it's not good, and it's very, I mean, I get mixed feelings about it. I love it, and yet I know that it's not very good, so I wrote about that. Summary of August with more gold. Another weekly with, you know, the autumn colors creeping in. I really like this page. You can see some writing through and a habit tracker that I painted over through the paint. So it's sort of there and yet not. More journaling, this time about the autumn colors, and that's why I chose this background. This was a project page for things that were no longer relevant when I started working, so I just painted over it and then I never got around to adding a picture or whatever. This is a page, this washi tape represents a new project that I started, where, well, it has to do with work and with self-development. So that began there. Another weekly and more notes about the moon. More of that self-development stuff. It's called the life wheel. I know other YouTubers talk about similar things, but I think they normally have 10 sections in the circle. I only had 8. So these were my goals, and I called them the new normal because, you know why, probably. And all of these pages that are painted over used to have chaotic writing on them. but this is much more fun to look through. And I painted over all that chaotic stuff to sort of symbolize how I left it behind and how it was no longer any concern of mine. And then I typically wrote a summary of the things I wanted to remember. And like here, just the word effective, efficient, to represent what it was like, the things I wrote about. More journaling. I had just finally bought a purple acrylic paint, so I wanted to use it. And here, as you can see, there are, I think you can see, lots and lots of sort of, well, little boxes that I've checked because I have had tasks here to check off. Like in a bullet journal. I don't really bullet journal, but I am inspired by the method, so I, instead of little dots for tasks, I put boxes and then I fill them in. But I never got around to covering this with gold or anything, so it's not very very nice. More self-development. This looks so bad. I really don't like this spread, but you can't always succeed, I guess. This is meant to represent what I want to be like at work. So for some reason I had an assignment from a coach. I had to write about what how I wanted to develop in my work, and this image of Elizabeth I just came up, and I knew I had a picture in a history book of her, so I used that. And same here, self-development more generally, and I had this fairy tale book where I found this image that for me represents fearlessness, you know, confronting what you're afraid of. And this I drew and painted myself. It's got to do with friends and friendship. Another fairy tale book, one of my favorites from my childhood. I have two sets of these books. One that I keep intact and one that I cut up to use in journals. So beautiful. It's done in watercolor, and I can't believe it. It's so, I mean, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Is it partial? Because, you know, I loved it as a child, so I can't really look at it objectively. But still. This spread is also quite ugly. It's not really done. It's meant to represent my journaling, but you know, it just looks grungy and dirty. So another unfinished spread. I was scribbling about the yoga, how that was progressing, and this sort of reddish, yellowish, these hues represent what I feel for yoga. It's something warm. And more notes about my book, my fantasy series, so you can see the tabs, about a character called Nebishihim. More about Nebishihim because, you know, I, like in a bullet journal, I just turn to the next page when I start something new, so it's all over the place. This is her. I asked my husband, I had done the face, and I asked him what should her haircut be like, and he told me to draw this haircut. Oh, I really love the colors here with this sort of greenish blue, almost, I don't know, turquoise in places, and then this warm yellowy green that grows darker, and then the gold, and it gives the pages such a leathery feel because it's acrylic paints, and I really love the feel of them. They get, you know, sort of a bit thick but still supple, like parchment or something. More notes about my book. This is Nebeshihim before she cut her hair, and she follows a religion that's got to do with the stars, so that's why there's a starry vault around her. And she comes from not a tribe, but a people called the Hanar. More personal development, more gold, more warm reds and greenish blues. And this, I mean, I don't know, can you say these things about your own stuff? But I love this. It looks like an old vase or something that's been chipped and you know, maybe it's a bit dirty and it's been scuffed, and the color has flaked, and it's so, I love it. I do. Another weekly with some kind of, oh yeah, personal development stuff that I wanted to keep. This wasn't a great spread. You can hardly see what I wrote. It doesn't matter. Probably nothing important. And oh, I haven't even done anything to the edges to sort of frame it, so it looks very unfinished and I don't know, all over the place. Ghost got an award in Sweden from the government, so I documented that with this spread. This is from a magazine where they were on the cover, and of course I had to write a second most employee of the month because that's a significant quote in the community. Okay. Oops. And this is unfinished. But this was something I put on 4 post-it notes and kept in my work, or on my work task list. So I had my tasks written on a white page, and then I had these post-its on top, and they said, I can always trust myself. My energy comes back if I take it easy for one day. I always find a way, even for that which is hard at first, and I've got my back. And, you know, it was kind of true. It sounds like new age mumbo jumbo, but it worked. I did have my back, and I did do well. Oh, look at this. I mean, this blue, wonderful. A tag that, oh, I want abundance in all parts of life. Health, home, love, inspiration, feelings, music, strength, everything. More is more. Yes, I guess that summarizes me. More is more. And this, I just have to tell you, this washi tape, it does work quite well with this spread, but it's significant because it was the first washi tape I got, and I ordered something else from this online shop, and they put this roll of washi tape in with all the rest of the things, probably to sort of tempt me to start using washi tape. Well, it worked, so screw you. I have a lot of washi tape now. Oh. yeah, this is just, you know, a thought I had when I finished this journal, or this planner. This planner was an oil painting rather than a watercolor, because let's move on to this page just to show you why I cover it all up, because this is how I think, this is how I work. And I have kept this as a reminder that this is not something I will read again. It's too chaotic, but this is the way I think. And then when I've sort of come to a conclusion, I know where I'm going with my thoughts, and you know, then I cover it up with something beautiful, you know, like this, and that's what I carry with me. And in that way, it's an oil painting rather than a watercolor, because when you paint a watercolor, you have to plan beforehand what you're going to do, otherwise, you know, it becomes muddy and just it doesn't look good. So funnily enough, this is made with watercolor pencils, and I did plan this spread a little, but yeah, it's not really my medium. I prefer acrylics and oil paints where you can add layers and sort of follow your whims instead of planning things beforehand. And this was, all these pages were a combination of planning for my fantasy novel and sort of revving up for my self-development. There were sort of areas where they overlapped, the trajectory of a character in the book and my trajectory. So and this has to do with that as well. This is what she reads in that book, and this is, you know, because this is just coffee stained old script, but then I wanted to write what my conclusions were. And we're at the end. So, yay!